Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Travel and Bourbon. And today we're going to talk about the Bolongo Bay Beach Resort. Bolongo Bay is a family-owned beach resort on the island of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It was built in 1989 and has 65 guest rooms. It is also known to be the only all-inclusive resort on the island. This is a walk up from the rooms on sort of the beach end of the property, and we are walking towards Iggy's Oasis, which is the main restaurant at the resort. As you can see, it is basically open air. There is a covering. It's multi-tiered, so there's lots of places you can sit and look out over the water, and the swimming pool has a swim-up bar as well. Bolongo Bay is about halfway between Charlotte-Amalie, the capital of St. Thomas, and Red Hook, which is the other major population area on the island. This is looking out our front door of our room, which was sort of on the far end of the resort, and here once again is Iggy's, the pool, and the beautiful view into Bolongo Bay. It is really awesome to be right on the ocean. You can hear the waves. There's, like I said, this wonderful swim-up bar and pool. The location of the resort is great. It is right on the water. It's a little more secluded, so it's not a super busy place to be. There's an upside and a downside to that. They do have a dock here where they have a catamaran, and they also have a dive ship that will come and take people on charters to go out scuba diving. So there really is a lot that you can do right from the resort. Here is a view of the beach sort of on the far side of the property. This is the sandy part of the beach. There are some rocks. You probably are going to want some water shoes as you're walking around. This is the area for swimming and snorkeling. There's a little bit of coral out in the water and some seagrass.
I think so.
But it's just a great place. It's also not terribly busy. We were always able to find a place to grab a chair and sit next to the water. On the other side of the dock is where it's more of like the paddleboarding and the kayaking and those sorts of things. You can check out scuba gear and the kayaks and everything from a little beach shack that they have there that has pretty good, daytime hours that you can get out and get in the water. And there's a lot of activities to do. The scuba diving at Bolongo Bay was fine. The equipment wasn't great. It had just sort of the basic scuba gear there where the water could come back through the tube. The masks were fine. But the scuba diving was way better in other parts of our trip than here. But it's a great place to practice, and it also gets you out in the water. We were at Bolongo Bay over the holidays, right over Christmas, and that is really a great time to be there. There are so many special things like these carolers that just show up and give you unique sort of island flair. On Christmas Day, Santa Claus came up and visited the island and gave out some gift bags to the kids, which was super cool. And I think this is really where Bolongo Bay shines. In all of these little activities that get scheduled on a daily basis, there's a whiteboard that kind of lists what's going to happen. They're famous for having this booze snorkel where they throw bottles of rum into the ocean and the guests go out and get the bottles of rum. Those sort of quirky, fun things are really great and make some incredible memories. And I think this picture here is actually the Bolongo Bay staff and the owner in the picture here getting their picture taken with Santa Claus. And you can just tell that it's really a family feel at this resort. It's a small resort. These people work long hours together, and that's really the vibe of the place. There is also plenty of wildlife wandering around. This is mostly a montage of the different iguanas that you will see on the property, sunning themselves on the beach or kind of hanging out on these rocks, different places. But it's not the only wildlife. There are chickens all over this island, and there are also some stray cats that call Bolongo Bay home as well. That was a lot of fun for my daughter, who is a big fan of cats. And they're pretty nice cats, unlike this iguana that just tried to kill me. They roam around the property. They feed them on the property. Right after we were there, there was a stray dog that had puppies, and on Instagram they have lots of videos of them trying to rescue those puppies and get them adopted and things like that. So there is sort of some wildlife that just strolls around. You'll be eating supper and a cat will just brush your leg, and that's just kind of part of the nature. This is a little video that I took in the morning watching the sunrise at Bolongo Bay, and there was not anyone else around when I was doing this. It wasn't terribly early, but it's that kind of place where you can find some just alone time on the beach to enjoy a sunrise while you drink your coffee. If you're looking for something that's action all the time and lots of people and 20 restaurants, this is not that kind of a resort. I think the word resort is sort of loosely used here. And, you need to really kind of think about what do you need in a resort on a Caribbean island and decide if this is what you want. Okay, so let's talk about the rooms. The rooms are aged motel rooms. They have had some updates, but the updates are not 100% finished. It's clean. I don't want to say it's not clean. It's clean and nice rooms, but there are some things. The showers are very, very small, especially if you're not in a handicap accessible room. This little kitchenette is dated. We had connecting rooms with our kids, and the connecting rooms, first of all, you had to turn the nightstand because you couldn't open the door, and then the tile between the two doors was never replaced for some reason, so that looks a little odd. Our daughter's rooms that had the handicap shower, it was much longer, but then the bathroom is still the same size, so it's a little small there. They're clean rooms, and they were perfectly fine for us. We like to go to national parks where that lodging is kind of primitive. So to us, this was like another, Days Inn or something like that kind of hotel room. It's not, a 5-star experience necessarily, but it was perfectly fine for us. One of the things I really liked about Bolongo Bay was the landscaping. Everything was green and lush, and it had a lot of native vegetation around, and it was well kept. And I just really found that part really, really cool. Okay, now on to the in-house restaurant, which is Iggy's Oasis. A couple of things here. First of all, we had a group of 10, so that is really big. Their reservation system doesn't allow for more than 8. They also do reservations on open table. My suggestion to you is make reservations as soon as possible. because, especially if it's a busy season like Christmas, we had a heck of a time. We sat down at Thanksgiving to get on Open Table to make reservations, and we were eating at 9 o'clock at night because everything else was kind of filled up. Here is a drink menu. The drinks are all great, especially if you like rum cocktails. They are all you can drink. That's fine. If you're going to just sit at the bar and drink all day, then that's probably good. Here are the menu items for their lunch and dinner menus. They also have a really good breakfast, and we'll have that menu coming up as well. All I will say about it is we stayed there for almost a week, and we kind of ate everything off this menu, and after a while, it's kind of repetitive. The food is good, no problems there. The restaurant, most of the staff is great. It is a little bit of slow service. Part of that is because we had big groups. They did put our tables together occasionally, but we could tell that trying to get 10 people at a table all eating at the same time put pressure on the staff. And that was not the best service we got. So then we started to break our groups down into 2 different groups and try to eat at the same time if we could, but split up the groups, and that helped them out. Now, are there people there that are having bad days? Yes, there are. We had a couple of waitresses that were just not the friendliest humans in the world, but they were also, it's over the holidays, they were working a lot of hours. I don't know that you can blame them, but it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. But for the most part, the staff was really good. And the more sort of managerial staff that was there, they were really going out of their way to make sure everybody was happy. But I think also sometimes that made the other staff not happy because the reality is there's only so much they can do. So there are a few questions I think you need to answer just to sum this up. And the first one is, are you happy that you went to Bolongo Bay? And I would say 100%. I think for our situation, having this large family group, having a place like this where we could do a lot of things on the resort and not have to worry about transportation across the island and having cars and all that kind of different stuff. And where do you want to eat? Where do you want to eat? A lot of that stuff is just taken care of when the options are staying on the resort. So 100%. Number 2, would you recommend Bolongo Bay to people that are traveling St. Thomas? I would definitely say it's something they need to take a look at. It depends on who they are. If they're a, high-end resort kind of person, I might say, hey, listen, you got to understand that this is not going to be Turks and Caicos. But I think for most people, I think that this is something they should really consider. Another question is going to be, is it worth it to do the all-inclusive? Well, I'm not a guy who's going to sit back and add up all the numbers and try to figure out if it was cheaper to do it this way than this way. I'm also not the kind of guy who's going to order an appetizer and a dessert just because it's all-inclusive and we got to get our money's worth. I'm not going to sit at the bar and just pound drinks because I feel like I need to make money at this. Now, 25-year-old me tried to beat some Vegas casino buffets. You bet I did. But I think just where I am right now, that's not as important to me. But it is, you kind of have to think about how much you're actually going to be there and how much you're not going to be there and make that decision on your own. Finally, if you went back to St. Thomas or the U.S. Virgin Islands, would you stay there again? And this one is where I'm going to say no, I'm probably not. I am going to want to stay someplace like, I might even want to stay in a VRBO on St. John. I would like to explore the island more. I would like to try lots of different restaurants. I would like to have a car so I could drive around to all of these different spots. But, that's kind of part of the vacation thing is sometimes you find a place you want to go back and you want to try different experiences. So I hope this gives you some insight. I hope it's helpful. And I hope if you end up going to the U.S. Virgin Islands, you have a wonderful time. Thanks a lot.